Good morning, class. I got another good one for you. Check this out. Horrid Henry's Sizzling Summer. It's coming. It's close. This one's called Horrid Henry Minds His Manners. Here we go. Henry, Peter, you got mail, said Mom. Henry and Peter thundered down the stairs. Horrid Henry snatched his letter and tore open the green envelope. The foul stink of moldy socks wafted out. Yo, Henry! Marvin the Maniac here. You sound just like the kind of crazy guy we want on Gross Out. Be at TV Center next Saturday at 9 a.m. and gross us out. It's a live broadcast, so anything can happen. Marvin. There's a letter in there. I've been invited to be a contestant on Gross Out! Screamed Henry, dancing up and down the stairs. It was a dream come true. I'll be shooting it out with Tank Thomas and Tapioca Tina while eating as much ice cream as I can. Absolutely not, said Mom. You will not go on that disgusting show. Agreed, said Dad. That show is revolting. It's meant to be revolting, said Horrid Henry. That's the point. N-O spells no, said Mom. You're the meanest, most horrible parents in the whole world, screamed Henry. I H you. You know what H word stands for. I don't even want to say it. He threw himself on the sofa and wailed, I want to be on Gross Out. I want to be on Gross Out. Perfect Peter opened his letter. The sweet smell of lavender wafted out. Dear Peter, what a wonderful letter you wrote on the importance of perfect manners. As a reward, I would like to invite you to be my special guest on the live broadcast of Manners with Maggie next Saturday at TV Center at 9 a.m. You will be showing the girls and boys at home how to fold a hanky perfectly, how to hold a knife and fork elegantly, and how to eat spaghetti beautifully with a fork and spoon. I am very much looking forward to meeting you and to enjoying your lovely manners in person. Sincerely, Maggie. What a different sort of letter Peter got, huh? Look how pretty the handwriting is. And then that one, you really see the difference, huh? I've been invited to appear on Manners with Maggie, said Peter, beaming. That's wonderful, Peter, said Mom. She hugged him. I'm so proud of you, said Dad. He hugged him. Horrid Henry stopped screaming. That's not fair, said Henry. If Peter can be on his favorite TV show, why can't I be on mine? Mom and Dad looked at each other. Oh, I suppose he does have a point, said Dad. He sighed. And we don't have to tell anyone he's on, said Mom. She sighed. All right, Henry, you can be a contestant. Yippee! Squealed Henry, stomping on the sofa and doing his victory jig. I'm going to be a star. Gross Out, here I come. The great day arrived at last. Horrid Henry had been practicing so hard with his goo shooter he could hit Perfect Peter's nose at 30 paces. He'd also been practicing shoveling ice cream into his mouth as fast as he could until Mom caught him. Perfect Peter had been practicing so hard folding his hanky that he could do it with one hand. And no one could twirl spaghetti with a spoon as beautifully or hold a knife and fork as elegantly as Perfect Peter. That the goo shooter? At 9 a.m. sharp, Mom, Henry, and Peter walked into TV Center. Henry was starving. He'd skipped breakfast to have more room for all the ice cream he'd be gobbling. Horrid Henry wore old jeans and dirty trainers. Perfect Peter wore a jacket and a tie. A woman with red hair and freckles rushed up to them with a clipboard. Hi, I'm Super Sally. Welcome to TV Center. I'm sorry, boys. We'll have to dash. We're running late. Come with me to the guest waiting room. You're both on in 5 minutes. Can't I stay with them? Said Mom. Parents to remain downstairs in the parents' room, said Super Sally sternly. You can watch on the monitors there. Good luck, boys, said Mom, waving. Sally stared at Peter as they hurried down the hall. Aren't you worried about getting those smart clothes dirty? Said Sally. Peter looked shocked. I never get my clothes dirty, he said. Well, there's always a first time, chuckled Sally. Here's the waiting room. Studios 1 and 2, where you'll be filming, are through those doors at the end. In the room was a sofa and 2 tables. One, marked Gross Out, was groaning with chips and crisps and fizzy drinks. The second, labeled Manners with Maggie, was laid with a crisp white cloth. A few dainty vegetables were displayed on a china plate. Horrid Henry suddenly felt nervous. Today was his day to be a TV star. Had he practiced enough? And he was so hungry his stomach tightened. I need a wee, said Horrid Henry. Toilet's next door, said Super Sally. Be quick, you're on in 1 minute. Perfect Peter didn't feel in the least nervous. Practice made perfect, and he knew he was. What disgusting food, he thought, wandering over to the gross-out table. A man wearing combat fatigues dashed into the room. Ah, there you are, he boomed. Come along, it's your big moment. I'm ready, said Peter, waving his handkerchief. The man pushed him through the door marked Stage 1. Henry returned. A lady in high heels and a pearl necklace poked her head around the door. You're on, dear. Goodness, you look a little untidy. Never mind, can't be helped. And she ushered Henry through the door marked Stage 2. Henry found himself on a brightly lit stage. He blinked in the bright lights. Let's give a warm welcome to today's guest, cried a voice, a female voice. The studio audience exploded into applause. Henry froze. Who was that woman? Where was Marvin the Maniac? Something's wrong, he thought. This was not the set of Gross Out. It was a pink and yellow kitchen. Yet it looked vaguely familiar. Meanwhile, on Stage 1, Perfect Peter shrank back in horror as 2 gigantic children carrying goose shooters and massive bowls of ice cream advanced towards him. A presenter, laughing like a hyena, egged them on. You're not Maggie, said Peter, and I don't know how to use a... Get him, guys, squealed Marvin the Maniac. Help, shrieked Peter. Splat. What happened? Did they go to the wrong place? Oh, no. There's poor Henry with Manners Maggie. Back on Stage 2, Henry suddenly realized where he was. Now, don't be shy, darling, said the presenter, walking quickly to Henry and taking him firmly by the hand. Peter's here to show us how to fold a hanky and how to eat beautifully. It was Maggie from Manners with Maggie. What could Henry do? He was on live TV. There were cameras zooming in on him. If he screamed there'd been a terrible mistake, that would ruin the show. And hadn't he heard that the show must go on? Even a dreadful show like Manners with Maggie? Henry strolled onto center stage, smiling and bowing. Now Peter will show us the perfect way to fold a hanky. Horrid Henry felt a sneeze coming. Chew! He sneezed, then he wiped his nose on his sleeve. The audience giggled. Maggie looked stunned. The hanky, she prompted. Oh, yeah, said Henry, feeling in his pockets. He removed a few crumpled wads of ancient tissue. Here, use mine, said Maggie smoothly. Henry took the beautifully embroidered square of silky cloth and scrunched it into a ball. Then he stuffed it into his pocket. Nothing to it, said Henry. Scrunch and stuff. But why bother with a hanky when a sleeve works so much better? Maggie gulped. Oh, very funny, Peter dear. We know he's only joking, don't we, children? Now we'll show the girls and boys. But Horrid Henry had noticed the table, set with a chocolate cake and a large bowl of spaghetti. Yummy. And Henry hadn't eaten anything for ages. Hey, that cake looks great, interrupted Henry. He dashed to the table, dug out a nice big hunk, and shoved it into his mouth. Stop eating, hissed Maggie. We haven't finished the Hinky demonstration yet. But Henry didn't stop. Yummy, he said, licking his fingers. Maggie looked like she was going to faint. Show the boys and girls how to use a knife and fork elegantly, Peter, she said with gritted teeth. Nah, a knife and a fork slows you down too much. I always eat with my fingers, see? Horrid Henry waved his chocolate-covered hands. Oh, I'm sure it was just the excitement of being on TV that made you forget to offer me a slice of cake, prompted Maggie. She gazed in horror at the cake now, with a gaping hole in its side. But I want to eat it all myself, said Horrid Henry. I'm starving. Get your own cake. Now, I'm going to teach you the proper way to eat spaghetti, said Maggie stiffly, pretending she hadn't heard that, which we should have done first, of course, as we do not eat dinner before the main course. I do, said Henry. Hold your spoon in your left hand and your fork in your right. Pick up a teensy amount of spaghetti and twirl, twirl, twirl. Let's see if my little helper can do it. I'm sure he's been practicing at home. Of course, lied Henry. How hard could it be to twirl spaghetti? Henry picked up his spoon, plunged his fork into the enormous pile of spaghetti, and started to twirl. The spaghetti flew round the kitchen. A few strands landed on Maggie's head. Uh-oh. Whoops, said Henry. I'll try again. Before Maggie could stop him, he'd seized another huge forkful. Keeps falling off, said Henry. Listen, kids, use your fingers. It's faster. Then Henry scooped a handful of spaghetti and crammed it into his mouth. It's good, mumbled Henry, chewing loudly with his mouth open. Stop! Stop! Said Maggie. Her voice rose to a polite scream. What's wrong? Said Henry, trailing great strings of spaghetti out of his mouth. Suddenly, Henry heard a high-pitched howl. Then Peter burst onto the set, covered in green goo, followed by whooping children waving goo shooters. Maggie, save me! Shrieked Peter, dropping his shooter and hurling himself into her arms. They're trying to make me eat between meals. Get away from me, you horrible child! Screamed Maggie. It was the goo shooter gang at last. Better late than never, thought Henry. Oh no, Peter. Yee-haw! Henry snatched Peter's goo shooter, jumped onto the table and sprayed Tapioca Tina, Tank Thomas, and most of the audience. Gleefully, they returned fire. Henry took a step back and stepped into the spaghetti. Splat. Help! Screamed Maggie, green goo and spaghetti dripping from her face. Help! Screamed Peter, green goo and spaghetti dripping from his hair. Cut! Shouted the director. Horrid Henry was lying on the comfy black chair, flicking channels. Sadly, Manners with Maggie was no longer on TV, since Maggie had been dragged screaming off the set. Mischief with Mildred would be on soon. Henry thought he'd give it a try. It's a good one, huh?